So hello everybody, welcome and thank you very very much for joining. It's great to have everyone here and to see the interest in this EU sub-granting. So this is an information session. Basically, we'll share as much information about this sub-grant to you as possible, and then we'll have some space for Q&As. So this is Dóchas's EU Presidency Citizen Engagement Grant. It's part of the wider Dóchas EU Presidency activities for 2026. We have a number of activities over the course of the presidency, which you'll follow on our website. But this is a very, very exciting opportunity. It's an exciting funding opportunity for Irish civil society organisations engaged in international development. So the grant will come through EU DEAR funding, come through us, and we will be sub-granting it to all of the successful applicants. So in this agenda, in this information session, we will be going through 5 different areas. So firstly, we have a background and overview of the EU presidency itself and Dóchas's priorities. We will be looking at eligibility and the funding amounts that you can get with this subgrant. The activities which we're looking for and some of the scoring criteria that you'll have and that we'll be scoring you on in your application. A roadmap for the grant, so key milestones, where we're at today, all the way up to the close of this grant. And then we'll open it up for questions and answers. So I'd ask that you please hold your questions until the end, or else if you want to write them in the chat as we go, that's also totally okay. Just so everybody is aware, this session is being recorded, so we can post it after and you can share with various partners. But I wanted to give a heads up on that. So, background and overview. So Ireland's presidency of the Council of the European Union 2026. Ireland will hold the presidency from July until December 2026. And I'm sure everybody is aware of this. It's an amazing opportunity for everybody in this space, for everyone in this sector, but especially it's a pivotal opportunity for Irish civil society to engage and mobilize Irish citizens on international cooperation and sustainable development. In the lead up to the EU presidency, Dóchas and its members have been working on developing 3 clear presidency priorities. So the 3 that we've identified in this process have been civil society in international cooperation, financing for sustainable development, and climate and food security. So Dóchas is the lead organisation of the EUPP6 project, which is going to be with during the next trio of presidencies with Lithuania and with Greece. So Dóchas will be lead organisation of that, and all of our activities will fall under our term as president. So this is the good bit, what everybody's here for. Who can apply and how much is available? So who's eligible? Firstly, Irish registered civil society organisations. Secondly, you have to have a focus on global issues and engagement in international development. We're really looking for a clear global lens to this. So your organisation has to have a global focus, has to have engagements in international development at a global level. It's non-for-profit. So you cannot be a political party or a trade union. And also you have to demonstrate sufficient organizational capacity to manage this grant. Grant amounts. So how much can you get with this grant? For individual organizations, you can get up to 7,500. And if you're a consortium or a consortia or of 2 or more organizations, you can get up to €15,000. So activities and evaluation. What type of activities qualify and how will you be assessed? So at the center of this subgrant is citizen engagement, and it's engaging with citizens in Ireland. And we're placing a strong emphasis on innovation, engagement, and cross-disciplinary collaboration. So really some of the things we want to see here are novel approaches, looking at perhaps new markets, new target audiences, and trial new things. Perhaps you've been thinking about a new project or a new way of working. Well, this grant might be perfect if it's targeted really at citizen engagement. So that's the core of it. Some of the activities that we've outlined and we think of could be successful and maybe we've seen successful in other areas are along awareness raising campaigns. Um, this could be like social media, could be media reporting, storytelling, any kind of content production on EU as a global actor and how this awareness campaign can reach as many people as possible. Um, Educational projects. So within this space, within this sector, there is a wealth of knowledge, and understanding about international development, but maybe about EU as a global actor, EU priorities. And we want to see how you can get that knowledge, and also and get it to as many people as possible and engage with them in workshops, in trainings, debates or conferences. These types of areas we think could be really, really nice to basically bridge that gap and to inform and educate the public as much as possible. Um, Collaborative events are things that we've seen that have worked really well in the past. Joint events with policymakers, stakeholders, EU exchanges, even things like, for example, the Global Solidarity Hub has a presence at the ploughing and at music festivals. So you could look at events, collaborative things that are going on in your community. There's a lot of festivals, there's a lot of EU events happening, local things, local happenings, park runs, community events. These types of things could be really nice ways that you can reach a nice wide group of people, a diverse range of people who maybe again that you haven't particularly been able to target before. So again, citizen engagement is really at the center. So these are non-exhaustive, these are ideas, but we encourage, yeah, meetups and networking events, but any way that you can connect the EU priorities to citizens. That's what we're looking for. There is some ineligible activities though, and there is some forms of activities that we cannot provide the grant for. So for one, any advocacy activities, this will be deemed ineligible by the EU. So we will be steering clear of activity or very clear advocacy pieces. Furthermore, activities targeting under 18s will be ineligible. And there is more that we can get into. For example, existing programs will be ineligible. Anything that, if your staff costs exceed 20% of the project, then we won't be able to fund that either. Um, so how are the applications scored? So we have 7 criteria that we'll be scoring all applications on. Firstly is your mission and capacity. So this is clear. We want to see what the organization mission is, again, that global reach and your capacity. So can this organization handle the grant? Have you established experience in that? We'll be looking at outreach and type. So again, this is the citizens, how you're engaging with them, in what ways? Is it novel? Is it new? Is it a traditional way? And one of the things um, that might be worth thinking about is we've recently launched our Worldview report. And in that, there's some really, really rich data on different types of citizens in Ireland, people living in Ireland, and what their habits are, where they tend to where they tend to vote, or what their thoughts are. And we've built these into personas. We strongly encourage you to look at that data and see that how you could use that, how that maybe could be incorporated into your project, and what ways you could engage and reach these new or different audience types. Thirdly, we'll be assessing on the project design and coherence. So this is really the project itself. What are you trying to achieve, and how are you going to do it? What are the key milestones? Um, we're looking at cost effectiveness. So this will be in terms of it's a 7,500 grant or 15,000 grant. How can you use that basically to the best of its ability? We're looking at risks and sustainability. So two-part, we want the project, whatever it is that you're running, to have no adverse effects. So we want just you to think about the potential risks that this project entails and how you're thinking about these. And equally, sustainability. So this project is 6 months, but we really want you to think about how the findings of this and how the outcomes of this will be embedded into your project or into your organization so that the results last after the grant itself. So, be that scaling up or be that an attitude change, but really start to think about it and clearly show within your application the sustainability aspect of that. We find that very, that will be a clear element of the scoring criteria. Another one, we've mentioned the consortia. So we're encouraging consortiums to apply, and you'll get a bonus of points if you do join up and collaborate with other members. This could be cross-disciplinary with members or with organizations who you wouldn't typically partner with, but either way, consortiums will get an extra bonus points. And lastly, global development focus. Again, we just wanted to reiterate the point that this is for international development. It's for organizations with a global development focus. Um, so key dates and next steps. So as you've seen, this is the roadmap for applying. You may have seen last week, we officially launched the subgranting last week at Dóchas's AGM on the 7th of May. We've left a 4-week window where you can get your application together. We'll be hosting this webinar, and the Dóchas team will be available to support and answer any questions that you have with regards to the application. Over those 4 weeks, we encourage you to get your applications in as early as possible. The earlier the better. That way we can work with you if anything needs help, and we can answer any questions. So the application deadline will be 7th of June. After that, we won't be accepting any more deadlines, and everybody must complete the application by then. After that period, we will have an independent panel to review all of the entries, who will sit down, review, and that's where we will select who will be the awardees, and we'll provide written assessments for each of the applicants, and we will notify all successful applicants. So that will happen in mid-June. From mid-June until the 1st of July, we'll then work with you to set up the granting structure, the pre-financing, and any contracts that we'll need to do as well. By 1st of July, to coincide with the launch of the Ireland's EU presidency, we will issue all pre-financing and transfer that to the awardees. So you'll then have 6 months to complete all of your activities in line with your project timeline. This will include all activities that you'll be doing under that period. There'll be 2 reporting periods during that, so kind of a midway point and a final report as well, where you'll have narrative and financial reports to submit, and then the project officially closes on 31st of December 2026. So we have a website, dóchas.ie, with all information regarding the EU presidency, but also our team is always there to answer any questions. There's a lot of information on our website, and contacts as well that you can write to us and we'll respond with any answers. So that covers it just about. Here's a QR code to our website, which you can scan and you can look at the frequently asked questions, and that will also have a link to the application form itself. Um, in that case, I will open up the floor to any questions that you might have. I haven't been able to see in the chat, but please, we encourage any questions. And again, we really we look forward to everybody applying. We welcome you from all across the spectrum. And yeah, many thanks for joining this information session today.
Hey everyone, there's just a question, Robbie, from Ashley. Are we able to submit multiple applications, for example, in multiple consortiums?
Um, I would say you'll only be awarded one grant. So you won't, even if you, let's say if you join up with two consortiums, um, we'd only be able to fund your project for one. We won't be able to split that or double your granting. There's no way that we can yeah, grant twice to the same organization.
I will say if you have multiple activities that you want to apply for, if you're applying for €7,500 and you had a series of activities that you wanted to fund, that would be eligible. And Kate's kindly shared the website information on the chat. You'll have had that in the emails already. And another question from Emma Lynch: what is the overall grant pot, and how many grants do you hope to award?
So the overall grant pot is 60,000. So that can be either 8 single projects or 4 consortium projects.
And Sarah's asking, are we able to submit as part of a consortium and then separately as an organization?
Again, no, it's we've defined that as one organization won't be able to get double granting for this. You'll either submit as as a consortium or as an individual organization. We won't be able to award grants to the same organization twice.
And a question from Carrick Munn. Thanks for the presentation, Robbie. Would disseminations of findings of existing research be eligible?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, as I said, there's a lot of information within this sector. So, however, you can engage citizens on those findings. However, uh, it is citizen engagement is what we're trying to do. So, um, as long as, yeah, these findings are related to either the 3 priorities that we're working with, or on EU as a global actor, or international development, then yes.
Great. And a question from Morris. If we want to include partners from overseas, are costs eligible? For example, travel to Ireland or preparation for workshops? I think you mean overseas.
Um, I would think so. So it would depend. We can't have staff costs more than 20%. So if it's kind of salaries and that, but if there is budget, if you want to allocate budget for travel, I'm quite sure that is to be allowed, but I will just need to double check. But I'm pretty sure as long as it doesn't, as long as it's not defined as, yeah, your salaries or an existing project, then bringing over guests to events in Ireland, then I think that's doable.
Another question from Emma regarding staff costs at no more than 20%. Can costs for technical expertise be brought in, for example, for media pieces?
Yeah, as long as they're not within your organization, if that's how you want to, if you'd like to, use this grant to hire somebody or to bring in expertise for different workshops or different seminars or conferences, then yep, that's totally allowed. Again, we just want to see how this grant will target engagement with citizens. So, however that is, I think that's still first and foremost with it.
Great. Any more questions? There's nothing in the chat for the moment. No.
No, I can come in here a bit,
Thanks, Jenna.
Robbie, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, Jane Ann. I think
that's it.
everybody knows me, hopefully. Thanks very much for that, Robbie. I think it was super clear. Look, just to say, look, we're delighted that we have the opportunity, I think, to offer this to members. It's not exclusively for members, and there is obviously the opportunity as well to partner with perhaps domestic organizations here that you feel that there is a complementarity to doing it with them. So it's not, but it is really around that global focus that we want to keep. I think with regards to, I think the second part of your question, Morris, I think it is for activities here in Ireland. So just to, so yeah, in terms of what Robbie mentioned, I don't think if there's travel costs to bring people over here for an event that engages the public, that's not an issue. I think that can be built into the course. But it's more about it wouldn't necessarily go the other way, because it's really about engaging the citizens here in Ireland as well. And I think there's just, when we speak about kind of innovation and all of that, I think it's really just to look at this as an opportunity. If there's, a particular group or outreach or target audience that, you're keen to kind of see or engage with or gather where the, the level of interest in development, I think that's really kind of where what we're looking at is, or a new way or a new approach or something different that you haven't been able to do before. And I think when we talk about sustainability, it's really like, even with that, what would generally be the intention that if it was a different or new audience, is that how does that fit in with maybe what you might, if if this is successful and you feel that there is impact, how would this, potentially impacting your future work and things like that. So it's really around trying to enhance the ability for our, our sector, I suppose, to be able to reach the public, and during the presidency. And there's lots of different, I think, ways that and ideas that you probably know better than I do. But I think it's really just about giving it an opportunity for you guys to try and see what makes sense for you to do, and what can reach different audiences as well. So, but I'll hand back to you, Robbie, if there's any other questions then. Thanks.
Totally. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jane. Um, no, just that we encourage you to apply. We're delighted to have the grant. We really want to work with you. We want to make this stretch as far as we can, and we're very excited to see some of the projects that will come out of it. And the whole thing is we're here. We want to work with you. We want to make sure that um, you're getting every chance, especially to some of the smaller organizations. But actually for everybody, we're there to answer questions. So please use us. However we can support, we'll be doing our best to do so. And yeah, we're delighted to have the grants and see over the next 6 months all the great projects and the ways that we can engage the public. I think it's a brilliant opportunity.
Could
So with
I?
that, I think there might be. Is there any more questions, Laura? I think in the
Sorry,
chat.
it's just me, Grania Kilcullen here from ActionAid, and I'm really
Yeah.
sorry I was able to join late, but and I can listen back as well. But I just wanted to take the opportunity. Was there any kind of, because I know you're saying the global development focus, but was there any sort of, there was no thematic focus within that you mentioned or that you're really looking for, or it's quite open for us to interpret? Like, so for example, like if we're wanting to do something on climate change or on the impact of, let's say, austerity measures or something, any like those kind of relevant thematic areas for us is actually in Ireland. And
Hmm.
yeah, taking into consideration those innovative ways to engage the public, there's no limit, is there, on those themes? Or yeah, I'm sorry if you shared
Yeah, no,
further.
thanks a million, Granny, for the question. No, I was just explaining that Dóchas have developed our own EU presidency priorities. So we do have three themes. One is citizen engagement in international cooperation. Secondly is um, financing for sustainable development. And third is climate and food security. So although we're not tied to, we're not forcing any projects to fall under that. If they do, that's fantastic as well. Just to have some alignment in all of our projects. But no, as long as it's international development with a global that you have a global focus, then that suffices.
Great,
I,
thank
I
you.
might just mention, Robbie, it's just, and I'm not suggesting, Grania, that you would be, but I'm just we can't use this grant to be critical of the EU. So it's just that's kind of an underlying assumption, but I just want to mention that, or that it is about engaging on and say the positive elements of the EU in terms of what they're doing in global development. I think we can interpret that about promoting what we see as sustainable development, the importance of climate, the importance of all the issues that we deal with. But I don't think we need to be overly, pushy about the great work the EU is doing. But I think in terms of where we see the real added value in terms of sustainable development, climate, all these bigger issues. But it's just to mention that we can't. I say we can't, but yeah, we're not. The purpose is to encourage awareness on these issues rather than challenge the issues. So, yeah, I
Okay,
know
thank
there's a fine line between the two, but
yeah.
it's just I think we can, as a sector, we always find that balance. But yeah, thanks.
Any other questions or comments?
Emma from Tier Fund Ireland here. Again, my apologies. It's just a very quick question, just arising from the comments there. Does a project proposal have to incorporate something that is highlighting the work of the EU and the EU presidency in particular for the 6 months?
Yeah, I would definitely refer to the work of the EU. As Jane mentioned, this is not we're not you know, cheerleading the EU or anything, but within your proposal, yeah, if you could incorporate some of the EU's work in global action or some of the policies and how your project aims um, to bring awareness on that, to bring awareness in global development issues where the EU might be related as well, is encouraged. So yeah, however you can bring this and bring the EU into your project is definitely welcomed.
Thank you.
And just to say, Emma, like we don't expect everyone to be experts on kind of EU policy and then be amplifying that. I think it's more about the kind of more general kind of backdrop, I suppose, is around kind of the role the EU plays in sustainable development, climate, global issues. That. Thanks.
Any other questions and comments? And as well, you can drop Robbie an email. Robbie, we can put your email in the chat if you have any follow-up questions as well. A question from Patrice. Can a network organization apply if hosted by an NGO?
A network organization, sorry, I've just lost that. Can
I
a network
presume that's probably the likes of IFIAD or INU or perhaps kind of some of the networks. So I think that's Patrice, I think that's fine. We'd probably treat that as a consortium, to be honest, because it would be a few organizations coming together. So I think it's more about saying, okay, these are the organizations within that pre-existing network that are going to kind of roll this out. Yeah. Sorry, Robbie, to interrupt you, but just to interpret that, I think that's what Patrice means.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. And again, just as long as there is a registered Irish civil society organization within that consortium, then I think that should be okay.
Anything else from anyone? Okay, we'll maybe take the extended silence to wrap up, Robbie, and we can pop your email in the chat.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure to host this and to engage with everybody here. As I've mentioned, we're delighted to have the grants, and we really encourage applicants from all parts. So, any more questions, do not hesitate to reach out. We're here to support, and yeah, we welcome everybody. So, thank you very much for joining. We really appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Bye.